IQ.
Radio IQ gets support from Savvy Rest Natural Bedroom, retailers of customized Savvy Rest organic mattresses, bedding, and furniture in Vienna and Ivy and at SavvyRest.com. And from Davenport Energy, a family-owned company providing propane, fuel oil, gasoline, and diesel fuel throughout Southwest and Southside Virginia since 1941. And from our listener supporters.
Funding for Here and Now comes from the listeners of WBUR Boston, where the program is produced in your NPR station. From MathWorks, creators of MATLAB and Simulink software for technical computing and model-based design. MathWorks, accelerating the pace of discovery in engineering and science. Learn more at mathworks.com. And BetterHelp, connecting people with a therapist in a private online environment for issues like depression and relationships. 20,000 therapists are available through BetterHelp using a computer or smartphone. BetterHelp.com/public.
It's Here and Now. A former president of Brazil who served time in prison for corruption and money laundering is on the comeback trail. Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, or Lula, wants a third term. He was president from 2003 to 2010 and is now campaigning against what he calls the totalitarianism and hatred of incumbent Jair Bolsonaro. Let's talk about this race with NPR's Philip Reeves. Hi, Phil.
Hi.
Lula, I remember, was at one time tremendously popular in Brazil. Why was he then, and is he still as popular now?
Well, part of the reason is that he was there in government during a boom period and introduced social programs that lifted millions of Brazilians out of poverty. He's also very charismatic, a hugely talented populist politician. And when he left office, his rating was over 80%, which is pretty much unheard of among world leaders. But, these days he's not nearly as popular. He was tainted by the huge corruption scandals that engulfed business and government here after he left office, and also by the impeachment of his hand-picked successor as president, Dilma Rousseff. And so polls these days show his support generally at between 40 and 45%, but people are getting worried that he's too old. He's 76 and he's been making a number of gaffes recently, and they're wondering if he's actually up for the job.
And tell us briefly about, it's a complicated corruption case. The sentence eventually was overturned. Briefly, what happened here?
Yeah, it is complicated, but he was jailed for corruption, money laundering in 2018. He spent more than 18 months in prison. That meant he couldn't run in the 2018 election, which was won eventually by the far-right winger, Jair Bolsonaro, the current president. Later, the Supreme Court annulled Lula's convictions because of the way the cases were conducted, and that means he can run for a third term now. He has always said the whole thing was a stitch-up, just to stop him running in 2018. He was the front runner at the time. And the other day, the UN Human Rights Committee found that indeed prosecutors in Brazil back then did deny him due process. So that's reinforcing Lula's argument.
So Lula, who I have read in some of the polling, may have a bit of an edge over Bolsonaro, but they may be narrowing. He's running against the far-right incumbent Bolsonaro, and he has challenged the election system, downplayed COVID. Bolsonaro, some fear, may challenge the results of this election. Where does Bolsonaro stand in the public eye?
Well, he's got a kind of core base of 25 to 30%. Funnily enough, that has recently been rising, so he can't be counted out. He's repeatedly attacked and undermined the Supreme Court, as you mentioned, and he's attacking the electronic voting system here, saying without any evidence that it's vulnerable to fraud. He's even been talking about using the army here to do a parallel count. So people are worried that he's laying the ground to reject the results of the election if he loses, and that democracy here itself is at risk. During the pandemic, his performance was terrible. He undermined vaccines. He often refused to socially distance or even wear a mask. And in the end, more than 660,000 Brazilians died. But, this is a religious country. The majority of Brazilians agree with Bolsonaro's position on abortion. Homicides have gone down, and he's not seen as corrupt. So, he does have some issues in which he's able to garner support.
One of the big issues is the environment under Bolsonaro. Deforestation in the Amazon has happened at the highest rate in more than a decade. Here's a video Bolsonaro tweeted out on this in English.
People keep saying that Brazil is a climate bomb and the world will suffer the consequences. That's a lie. It's not a narrative, it's a fact. Brazil is a free and extremely preserved country.
So, Phil, is this a big issue for voters? Environment, climate change?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is. That's a classic piece of Bolsonaro propaganda. But you know, there are many Brazilians who are very concerned about the destruction that Bolsonaro has enabled in the Amazon rainforest, for instance, by severely weakening government, environmental protection and inspection agencies. But, you know, this issue doesn't really arouse the same degree of outrage as it does internationally. I mean, many people here are focused on other issues. I mentioned corruption, abortion, crime, and also, you know, getting by. Inflation here is in double digits. Unemployment's high. Although his supporters support the highly distorted views that video is perpetrating, you know, saying that Brazil's actually preserved the Amazon and all the fuss over this is based on lies and ignorance. I think for a lot of Brazilians, especially the poor, you know, they have other issues that they are primarily focused on.
Okay, and finally, Phil, this election is October 2nd. What are you and the political prognosticators going to be watching for?
Well, we're obviously going to be watching for the possibility that, although he's well behind in the polls right now, Bolsonaro might be able to become win this election. That will cause a great deal of concern among those who are concerned about protecting democracy here. So I guess that will be the key thing to watch.
Okay. Philip Rees, NPR, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Here Now is production of NPR and WBUR. I'm Scott Tong in Washington, D.C.
I'm Robin Young in Boston. This is Here and Now.
Funding for Here and Now comes from WBUR Boston and from Staples, with supplies to get business done no matter where it gets done, from ink and toner cartridges to technology like webcams and networking accessories. More at Staples stores or staplesconnect.com. Staples.
Lockdown has
everyone who so desires to stand for a moment of silence or personal prayer, and then I would ask that you remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good afternoon and welcome to our meeting for May 10th, 2022. Regular meetings are held on the second and fourth Tuesdays at 3 o'clock p.m. Public hearings are held at 7 o'clock p.m. on the fourth Tuesday of each month. Deviations from this schedule will be announced. Meetings are broadcast live on RVTV Channel 3 and will be rebroadcast on Friday at 7 o'clock p.m. and on Sunday from 10 a.m. until 5 p.m. Board of Supervisor meetings can also be viewed online through Roanoke County's website at www.roanokecountyva.gov. Our meetings are closed captioned, so it is important for everyone to speak directly into the microphones at the podium. Individuals who require assistance or special arrangements to participate in or to attend Board of Supervisor meetings should contact the clerk to the board at 540-772-2005 at least 48 hours in advance. And then please turn off your cell phones or place them on silent. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Peters?
Here.
Mrs. Hooker?
Here.
Mr. Norwood?
Here.
Mr. Radford?
Here.
Mr. Mahoney?
Here. Item B, this is request to postpone, add, or change the order of our agenda. I would ask the board's concurrence to move item C3 to the consent agenda. Mr. Dragovich is unable to attend today's meetings. Any objections to moving a consent? No objection. Thank you. Are there any other requests to postpone or add or change the order of agenda?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
No changes.
No changes, sir. Thank you. Item C1. C1 is a proclamation declaring the month May 2022 as Business Appreciation Month in Roanoke County. Marshall Stanley. Marshall, please come to the podium. Would the clerk please read the proclamation?
Proclamation declaring the month of May 2022 as Business Appreciation Month in the County of Roanoke. Whereas the County of Roanoke is proud to have a dynamic base of business and industry which contributes to an emergent local economy. And whereas these business partners create wealth in the County of Roanoke by capital investment and the creation of essential employment opportunities for Roanoke citizens. And whereas the County of Roanoke recognizes that existing businesses play a crucial role in sustaining the economic well-being and in building a prosperous community through charitable, civic, and philanthropic contributions. And whereas the board wishes to acknowledge the leadership role embodied by the entire existing business community, express its respect and convey to these business partners the esteem in which they are held. Now, therefore, we, the Board of Supervisors of Roanoke County, Virginia, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2022 as Business Appreciation Month in the County of Roanoke. And further, by this proclamation, give notice to our citizens that we recognize the accomplishments and resilience of our existing businesses, entrepreneurs, small, minority, and women-owned businesses, and the major employers that contribute greatly to our economic vitality and the well-being of our citizens.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. As you know, we celebrate Business Appreciation Month each year, so I'm excited to be in front of you again to acknowledge the many contributions of our business community. This month recognizes all the businesses for their contributions to fostering an attractive and prosperous economic environment in Roanoke County. Dr. Donald W. Keyes, Interim Chair of Carilion Clinic Department of Pediatrics, is here with us today to accept the proclamation on behalf of the Roanoke County business community. Carilion Children's at Tanglewood is a hub for over 15 pediatric services, providing outpatient care in specialties such as general pediatrics, neurology, gastroenterology, behavioral health, plastics and reconstructive surgery, and more. The Tanglewood Center also provides adult services such as ear, nose, and throat and dentistry. Carilion Children's Tanglewood Center comprises over 150,000 square feet of the former J.C. Penney space. Approximately 300 Carilion employees work at the center delivering pediatric health services to patients in a 60-mile radius service territory, including Roanoke County. Quillian Children's is a strong anchor tenant in Tanglewood, which continues to encourage other businesses to join the momentum and bring investment power back to the area. The 419 Town Center has begun to take shape as we see restaurants, office buildings, and redevelopment projects happening along the 419 corridor. We thank Quillian Children's for helping inspire investment and action in the area. Quillian Children's is a champion of economic development in Roanoke County, has helped reinvigorate the 419 corridor, and serves our community and neighbors with healthcare needs. Thank you, Dr. Keys, and your team at the Quillian Children's Tanglewood Center. And Dr. Keys, if you'd like to say anything.
I'd just like to say on behalf of the Roanoke County business community, I'm very pleased to accept this proclamation. I've been with Quillian for over 30 years in various leadership roles within the Department of Pediatrics, and I will say the Tanglewood Center is a dream come true for us. It's consolidated all our pediatric outpatient specialties together in one place, collaborative, it's very visible, and we're very excited to see the development around us and how that's coming along. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any comments from any board members? On a personal note, I just want to say that I think several board members have had the opportunity to tour that facility, and it's beautiful and it's amazing and it's incredible the advanced work that Quillian is doing there. It is a true gem for our community. Thank you. Thank you. Since this is a proclamation, no vote is necessary. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Item C2. C2 is pictures. Good idea. I didn't want to cut.
Why don't we get the other Quillian folks? There you go.
Item C2 on our agenda is a resolution congratulating Evan Rogers, Hidden Valley High School, for winning the Virginia High School League Class 3 State Forensics Championship in the storytelling category. Mr. Radford, if we can...
Yep, Mom too, come on.
Madam Clerk, would you please read the resolution?
Resolution congratulating Evan Rogers, Hidden Valley High School, for winning the Virginia High School League Forensic Storytelling Championship. Whereas athletic competitions are an important and integral part of the team curriculum at schools in Roanoke County, teaching cooperation, sportsmanship, teamwork, and athletic skill. And whereas Evan Rogers won the state championship in forensic storytelling, and whereas forensics is considered to be a Virginia High School League sport, it entails competitive public speaking. Students select material for individual performances. Categories include areas such as dramatic performance, formal speeches, impromptu speaking, poetry, and storytelling. The requirements for storytelling include a 10-minute presentation of a fully memorized children's story and is judged based on selection, interpretation, pronunciation, timing, enunciation, eye contact, posture, gestures, voice, poise, appearance, energy level, vocal and facial expressions, appeal to children, characterization, and impact of the message and performance. And whereas Ms. Rogers is also a Scholastic Art Award Gold Key Portfolio winner, she was one of less than 30% of entries in the regional level to receive an award for her art portfolio. The Scholastic Art Awards are the longest and most prestigious student art awards in the country, And whereas Ms. Rogers also placed third in the Future Business Leaders of America Digital Video Production category at the state level and will travel to Chicago in June to compete at the national level. And whereas Ms. Rogers is a member of the English Honor Society, a senior mentor, starting catcher for the Hidden Valley varsity softball team, member of the High Altitude Balloon Club, assistant producer of senior video through the Mass Communications program at the Burton Center for Arts and Technology, and upon graduation will receive an advanced diploma and will be attending Virginia Tech in the fall, majoring in cinema. And whereas Ms. Rogers represented her school and community with great character, poise, and sportsmanship, she is a true asset to Roanoke County. And now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Supervisors of Roanoke County, Virginia, does hereby extend its sincere congratulations to Evan Rogers, state champion in forensic storytelling, and be it further resolved that the Board of Supervisors extends its best wishes to Mrs. Evans, her coaches, and the school in their future endeavors.
Motion to approve the resolution?
Yes. Second?
Do we have a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Hooker?
Yes.
Mr. North?
Yes.
Mr. Bradford?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes. Would like to say anything?
I would just like to thank my mother, my teammates, new and old, and my coach, Stevie Woods, for supporting me through these 3 years, and I think it all led up to this, and I'm very grateful, and thank you for having me here.
How did you find the time to do all of that?
Yeah, that's very busy for 3 or 4 years at high school. You're doing a lot. And I'm sure they're going to appreciate you in Hokie Land right up the road. But we like to bring our state champions, and that's what you are, a state champion. You'll have that forever for the rest of your life, and that's a great thing. And we want to have a chance to say thank you and show you our gratitude by having you here with that resolution.
Thank you.
That's fine.
Any other comments?
Congratulations. Job well done.
Congratulations, and I wish you well in the future, and I'm sure you'll be doing great things, and we'll learn about those as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. Going to get a picture right here. Come on, Paul. Come on in.
Get the mother in.
Best of luck at that. Thank you. Okay. Congratulations.
Next item on our agenda is a resolution congratulating the Cave Spring High School boys basketball team for winning the Virginia High School League Class 3A championship. Coach, please bring your team up. Clerk, please read the resolution.
I would say the shorter ones in the front, but they're all the same size. Are we ready?
Please.
Resolution congratulating the Cave Spring High School boys basketball team for winning the Virginia High School League Class 3 championship. Whereas athletic competitions are an important and integral part of the team curriculum at schools in Roanoke County, teaching cooperation, sportsmanship, teamwork, and athletic skill. And whereas on March 10th, 2022, the Cave Spring High School boys basketball team won the Class 3 state championship at the VCU Siegel Center in Richmond, Virginia, with a 76-75 victory over Petersburg. And whereas the ninth senior guard, Owen Doyle, thank you, scored 29 points, including the game-winning free throw with 6 seconds to play to lift Cave Spring 29-1 to its 5th overall state championship, and the most wins in school history. And whereas the overall skill and versatility of its team, as well as overall athletic ability, was highly impressive. And whereas Owen, thank you, and Stark Jones, thank you, were named VHSCA State Co-Players of the Year, as well as VHSL First Team All-State. And whereas Bryce Cooper was named VHSCA Second Team All-State, and Dylan Saunders, VHSCA Second Team All-State. And whereas Knights coach Jacob was selected Coach of the Year. And whereas the team represented their school and community with great character, poise, and sportsmanship, they are a true asset to Roanoke County. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Supervisors of Roanoke County, Virginia does hereby extend its sincere congratulations to the members of the Cave Spring High School boys basketball team. Seniors Tyler Griffiths, Owen Bryce Cooper, Jesse Mansour, Tanner Kennedy, Will Childs, and Tyler Roche. Juniors Graham Lilly, Bays Bryant, Stark Jones, Dylan Saunders, Joseph
Allenberg.
Thank you, and Coburn Inyart, and sophomores Cameron Tinsley and Sean Washington. The manager Thomas Barlow and head coach Jacob, I can't say that word, and assistant coaches Greg Mackey, Derek Roth, and John Sharp. Be it further resolved that the Board of Supervisors extends its best wishes to the members of the team, the coaches, and the school in their future endeavors.
I move the approval of the resolution. Do I have a second?
A second.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Hooker?
Yes.
Mr. North?
Yes.
Mr. Radford?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes. Coach, would you like to say a few words, or any of the members of the team?
Mr. Chairman, Board of Supervisors, thank you so much for recognizing our team today. It's greatly appreciated. You know, I think the great thing about these young men standing behind you, is Mr. Ray will attest to this, is, you know, we had great season on the floor, but they're better men than they are basketball players. They're a great representation of the Cave Spring community and Cave Spring High School. So that's what we're most proud about, is who these young men are. So thank you so much for having us. We definitely appreciate it.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Come up.
Mr. Chairman and Board, I would also like to give an appreciation on behalf of our team to Coach Gruce and you all for having us. Without Coach Gruce, we couldn't have done this year. And I just wanted to give him some credit because he deserves it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nicely done.
Mr. Ray, would you like to say something?
Thank you. As you can see, everybody's taller than I am. And we do have a platform at the school board, so we stand up behind them, but you still can't see over them. So these guys are something, but these are really, as Coach Bruce said, the character of these guys. I mean, they are just, you can't say enough about them. And that was the longest 6 seconds, I think, of my life after that foul shot that Owen made. And to get that ball down the court, to them to come down and take a shot that wasn't even close, but to come down, and it was really a great honor. And I tell you, when your players talk about Coach Gruce, and they recognize the character that he instills in his kids, it's not about winning. He's always told me it's not about winning. It's how he can develop these young students into young men, and he has. And it's not one of them that can't go to him and talk to them about a lot of things, right? I see them smiling. They know they can talk to him, and that's the kind of coach he is. And I can't say enough about it, but guys, congratulations. Some of you will be moving on. Owen going to Tech, and we got others, so it's a lot more that's, and some more coming on. So, we look, best of luck to y'all, and I tell you, y'all are great young men. So, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any comments?
I'll make a quick comment. What a great team. What a great effort. We're proud of you. We're proud of the reputation that it precedes you, and it looks good on Roanoke County. So thank you for your good work. Thank you for being here today. Appreciate it. Thank you, Coach.
Congratulations, young men and Coach. And well, I'm just curious because I coach rec soccer and travel baseball, and so I'm just going to ask a question out of curiosity. How many of you young men are going to follow in your coach's footsteps one day and pursue a coaching career or even thinking about doing anything like that?
Awesome.
Because there you go, we got one. Very good. I coached soccer, and I had two boys call me up for references, and they got jobs coaching middle school and JV soccer. So it's a nice feeling. Coach, you know, you're planting the seeds of the future for these young men, whether they play sports or coach sports, because what you taught them is going to be carried through in their everyday life, both at home and as well as in the workplace. So congratulations to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I too add my congratulations. It's a state championship you guys have for the rest of your life. It'll be a great thing to look back on. It's just a nice reward. And Coach, excellent job mustering these guys together. You got to do it every year, and you've done a great job at Cave Springs. So best of luck to all you gentlemen in the future, and thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I apologize, I was only able to attend one of the games in your championship run, but it was exciting. I have to show my age because I think the last time I saw a championship was with the J.J. Reddick-led team. But I think this was very rewarding for you after sort of the COVID year disappointment. So I think this sort of adds the whipped cream on the top of the success. So congratulations, gentlemen. Glad you were able to join us today. Thank you very much.
Sir, thank you.
Do you want to stand up? Come over here and stand up behind him. Still won't
You want to stand in the chair?
Maybe.
Hey, Mike, come on up here and stand so you can get it above these guys. In the middle?
I like your yellow.
Thank you. I just want to make sure everybody's seeing you.
And you are seeing. See everybody. Right behind Coach Bruce. A little to the left. Don't move. Come on in.
This is the longest 6 seconds.
Thank you, Coach.
Good job, guys. Good job. You going okay? Oh, great. Do well, man.
Are you?
You guys are
Good
doing
deal.
well.
Well, you know,
Hey.
you're going to
Yeah,
have to
you
walk
too.
around line for a while, but you'll be okay. It won't last.
Thank you so much for coming. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, this one helped.
It's a great job.
Last week, Mr. Ray and I toured Penn Forest Elementary, and I think the principal at Penn Forest told us that the team had come to the elementary school and had read to the children, had participated in one of the special needs classes. And from what we understand, the children at Penn Forest just loved it.
I'm sure.
Just loved it.
It's quite special, Mr. Chairman, for them to see these young people come and speak to them and be a role model for these younger students. And by the way, the principal played for JMU as well, so she was really excited, so.
What is she, 6'2"?
Uh,
How tall is she? Was she 6'2"?
I won't say because, she wears flats all the time. She doesn't wear high heels, so, but anyway, great person. So, but thank y'all for honoring them. We got you.
Thank you, Mr. Ray. Item E1 on our agenda is an ordinance designating Sugarloaf Mountain Nature Preserve located in the Windsor Hills Magisterial District to be retained and used for the preservation and provision of open space land. Ms. Webb.
We're going to do D1.
Did we miss one?
Oh, did I miss somebody?
Miss D.
Ah, I'm sorry. I scratched out my list. Item D1, I apologize. D1, new business. Resolution adopting the fiscal year 2022-2023 operating budget, fiscal year 2022-2023 capital budget, and the fiscal year 2023-2032 capital improvement program for the County of Roanoke, Virginia, and Roanoke County Public Schools. Ms. Gerhardt.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. We do have a few items on the agenda today to finalize our fiscal year 22-23 budgets. First, we need to approve the resolution before you, and later in the agenda, we will have the second reading of the 5 ordinances. But first, I would like to recognize and thank the Budget Division staff, Steve Elliott and Corey Wright, for all of their hard work during the budget process. This resolution is the last piece of new business regarding the upcoming budget. The resolution is for the operating and capital budgets for the county and the Roanoke County Schools for fiscal year 22-23, as well as the 10-year capital improvement programs for the fiscal years 2023-2032 and the 2022-2023 fee compendium. The adoption of these documents fulfills the legal requirements. However, it does not represent the appropriation of funds. This will not occur until the second reading and approval of the budget ordinances, which is scheduled later in the agenda. Staff recommends approval of the resolution adopting the fiscal year 22-23 operating budget, the fiscal year 22-23 capital budget, and the fiscal years 23 through 32 capital improvement program for the County of Roanoke and Roanoke County Public Schools.
Any questions? Seeing none?
I do have one question regarding the fire and rescue transport fees. Why did they go up double-digit percentages? What was the driving factor behind that?
Medicare.
Yes.
Medicare allowed.
I'm sorry, what was it?
Medicare. We
Medicare
just-
cost? Okay. Thank you.
We
I
just
didn't-
go up to that rate. We don't charge any
You
additional.
adjust it every year, don't we? 22 to 23?
If Medicare
Okay.
does, we do.
Good, thank you. I just noticed that when I was going through there. Hope I never have to use it. Thank you.
If there are no other questions, I would ask for a motion to adopt the resolution.
Motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Hooker?
Yes.
Mr. North?
Yes.
Mr. Radford?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes. Now I'll do E1. Sorry, Ms. Webb.
That's all right. Good afternoon, Chairman, members of the board. My name is Lindsay Webb. I'm with Roanoke County Parks, Recreation, and Tourism. Before you today for your consideration is the first reading of an ordinance requesting that Sugarloaf Mountain Nature Preserve be placed in a conservation easement for the purposes of providing water quality offset credits for land disturbing activities that occur or will occur in Roanoke County. Under the stormwater management regulations for the state of Virginia, the county may utilize off-site stormwater management facilities located on Sugarloaf Mountain Nature Preserve to meet the required phosphorus nutrient reductions from other off-site land disturbing activities elsewhere in the county or on county-owned land. Sugarloaf Mountain Nature Preserve was acquired by Roanoke County in 1995. It is a 46-acre parcel located at 5624 Long Ridge Drive in the Windsor Hills Magisterial District. The property is forested, steep, and undeveloped, with a stream that crosses through the property. Development opportunities are pretty limited on the property due to the steep terrain and limited road frontage on Long Ridge Drive. In accordance with State Code Section 10.1-1701, the county is authorized to designate any real property that is, the county has had an interest of not less than 5 years duration to be used for open space land as long as it conforms to the comprehensive plan for Roanoke County. I have included several maps that are included in your board packet that demonstrate how the property does conform with the comprehensive plan in the following ways. One is identified as a key natural resource feature within the Windsor Hills Community Planning Area. The County Comprehensive Plan encourages resource protection to preserve open space, protect streams, and critical slopes and ridge lines in Roanoke County. The current future land use designation for the property is rural preserve. However, the Comprehensive Plan vision statement does recommend it for conservation due to the steep slopes on the property. The property is also zoned agriculturally as well as low-density residential. There is a wellhead protection area to the north of the property, and all of these zoning designations also support the preservation of this property. In addition to the benefits received for obtaining the water quality credits, there will be deed restrictions placed on this property in perpetuity, but they do allow for a variety of uses, including parks and recreation, conservation, and different types of scenic resource value uses. In closing, with the development of mountain bike trails, greenways, and parks and rec facilities in Roanoke County, it is important that we will need water quality offset credits to satisfy stormwater regulations throughout development for capital projects in the county. These deed restrictions that will be placed on this property can be transferred to another county-owned property if needed in the future, if the county or staff decide that there are different uses designated for Sugarloaf Mountain Preserve. So we can do transfers in the future if that is needed. There are no fiscal impacts associated with this easement request. The credits will be available as soon as the deeds are recorded, and staff recommend approval of the first reading of this ordinance and scheduling the second reading for May 24th. With that, I'll be happy to take any questions. Rachel Lauer is also here with our county attorney's office to answer any legal questions you have.
Any questions?
No, sir.
Questions?
Well, I'm very familiar with that property since it's in my neighborhood. The Radford family has enjoyed that nice area. We've hiked up there when our kids were living with us. So I believe the developer gave that land when they developed Long Ridge subdivision. So great to see that we can use it for credits. That's important. So thank you.
Either Ms. Lauer or to Mr. Thompson, seeing that a portion of the property is zoned R1, to provide further protections, would staff recommend that sometime in the future that we rezone that small portion that's R1 into AG3? I understand it's in conservation, but would you see that being necessary, or do we think that the current protections that are in place, particularly the deed restrictions, are sufficient?
I don't know if Mr. Thompson wants to provide anything from a zoning perspective, but I think that the deed restrictions are sufficient. But as to a zoning perspective, that would be staff's decision.
It's just I was surprised to see in the staff report that part of it was R1, and I didn't expect that. Mr. Thompson.
Yeah, it depends on the uses. You know, parks are allowed in both those zoning districts. You know, we could think about that if we update the zoning ordinance after the comp plan amendment and roll that into the comprehensive rezoning. Might make the most sense to do it at that time. So.
Thank you. I would request a motion to approve the first reading and schedule the second reading on May 24th.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the motion E1.
Second.
Madam Clerk.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Hooker?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Bradford?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item E2 is an ordinance accepting and appropriating funds in the amount of $250 from Earl and Glenna McKenzie for County of Roanoke Fire and Rescue Department. Chief Griffith.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. We recently received a donation in the amount of $250 from Earl and Glenna McKenzie of the Benton District. They made the donation in honor of Mr. James Cecil, and the funds will be used to purchase EMS equipment for the Benton station. So we recommend approval of the first reading and scheduling the second reading for May 24th.
Any questions? I would welcome a motion.
Motion to approve?
Do we have a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Hooker?
Yes.
Mr. Norwood?
Yes.
Mr. Radford?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes. Thank you, Chief. Item F1. We have a series of ordinances to appropriate funds for 5 different categories. Ms. Gearhart, this is the second reading of this ordinance. So would you want to summarize each of them, or do you want to comment A, B, C, D, and E as we get to them? What is your preference?
There really has been no changes since the first reading, so I can do whatever you would like to do, but there has been no changes since the first reading.
Well, let me walk through each one, and then if board members have any questions on each of the individual ordinances, we can do it at that time. F1A is the ordinance appropriating funds for fiscal year 2022-2023 operations budget and approval of the cash classification and pay plan for fiscal year 2022-2023 for Roanoke County. Do we have any questions on F1A?
No questions.
No questions. I would move approval of F1A. Do we have a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Hooker?
Yes.
Mr. Norwood?
Yes.
Mr. Radford?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes. F1B is an ordinance appropriating funds for fiscal year 2022-2023 capital budget for the County of Roanoke, Virginia. Are there any questions with respect to that ordinance?
No questions. I'll move a motion to adopt ordinance F1B.
Second.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Peters?
No.
Mrs. Hooker?
Yes.
Mr. Norwood?
Yes.
Mr. Radford?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes. F1C is an ordinance appropriating funds for fiscal year 2022-2023 transfer to and on behalf of Roanoke County Public Schools budget, County of Roanoke. Any questions of Ms. Gearhart on that item?
No questions.
Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Hooker?
Yes.
Mr. Norwood?
Yes.
Mr. Radford?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes. F1D is an ordinance appropriating funds for fiscal year 2022-2023 operations budget for Roanoke County Public Schools. Do we have any questions of Ms. Gearhart on this ordinance?
No questions.
If not, I would ask for a motion to adopt at second reading this ordinance.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Hooker?
Yes.
Mr. Norwood?
Yes.
Mr. Radford?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes. And finally, item E, an ordinance appropriating funds for fiscal year 2022-2023 capital budget for Roanoke County Public Schools. Are there any questions with respect to this ordinance?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we adopt item E, capital budget for Roanoke County Public Schools.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Hooker?
Yes.
Mr. Norwood?
Yes.
Mr. Radford?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes. So, Ms. Gearhart, I assume that you will come back to us whenever
Yes,
the
sir.
General Assembly
Yes, sir.
completes its deliberations in Richmond, because unfortunately, we'll probably have to amend several of these ordinances.
Yes, we will. So unfortunately, the General Assembly's been very quiet. Haven't really heard anything, but as soon as they release their budget, we will start to work on the amendment that we will bring forward.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I wouldn't hold your breath.
Item F2 is an ordinance dissolving a lease with Blue Mountain Huts LLC that was providing camping accommodations at Explore Park.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. There have been no changes since first reading. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Any questions of Mr. Blunt? If not, I would welcome a motion to approve this ordinance at second reading.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Hooker?
Yes.
Mr. Norworth?
Yes.
Mr. Radford?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes. Item F3 is an ordinance increasing the technology fee assessed on transactions processed by Roanoke County Departments of Planning and Zoning and Development Services. Mr. Lubeck.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. There have likewise been no changes to this item since it's the first reading, but I would be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Peter, could you just briefly summarize for anyone watching on cable TV or in the ordinance, or in the audience, what is the extent of the increase and what is the proposed revenue that would be generated by this amendment?
Absolutely. Yes, sir. So this, there was a 3% technology fee that was established by the board back in 2018, and this is a fee that is imposed on all permit issuing fees, which fees are imposed upon every transaction that is processed today by the departments that are known as the Departments of Planning, and Zoning and Development Services. And these fees are used to partially cover the cost of the county's computer programming and equipment used to process applications and projects. The fee that was set in 2018 was a 3% fee that was charged on each transaction. It is proposed that it be increased from 3% to 5%. And during the first reading, the board had asked Mr. Manier, who is our Director of Development Services, whether this fully covers the cost of the equipment and technology that is used by these departments, and his answer was absolutely not, that this is just an attempt to recover more fully the costs that are incurred. With regards to fiscal impact, the annual impact of this fee change is estimated at approximately $27,000 of additional revenue, and this increase has been included in the fiscal year 2022 to 2023 proposed operating budget.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Are there any questions of Mr. Lubeck?
No questions.
If not, I would request a motion to approve ordinance F3.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve F3.
I'll second.
Madam Clerk, we have a motion, second. Please call the roll.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Hooker?
Yes.
Mr. Norworth?
Yes.
Mr. Radford?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes. Item G1 on our ordinance, on our agenda is a public hearing and second reading of ordinances. With our public hearings, I want to remind anyone who will be speaking that we do have a 3-minute time limit, and we request when you come to the podium, you give your name and your address. Item G1 is an ordinance amending Chapter 2, Administration, Article 1 in general, Section 2-5, Library Fines and Fees of the Roanoke County Code. Mr. Lubeck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board again. The next two items are amendments to the county code, which have been proposed by Roanoke County staff. This proposal was from our library director, and the proposal is to eliminate library late fee fines, and this is in accordance with a local and a national trend to do so. Again, because the fines that were previously charged for late fees were codified in the Roanoke County Code, a code amendment is necessary, so there is a required public hearing for this matter. But I would be happy to review any additional information at this time, or answer any questions that you might have.
Are there any questions of Mr. Lubeck?
No.
If not, I would like to open the public hearing. I have no requests to speak. Madam Clerk,
No, sir, I have none either.
any citizens in the audience like to speak on this item? If not, I will close the public hearing, and I would ask for a motion to approve item G1.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve item G1.
Second?
Madam Clerk, we have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Hooker?
Yes.
Mr. North?
Yes.
Mr. Radford?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes. Item G2 is an ordinance amending Chapter 7, Building Regulations, Article 5, Fees, Section 7-73, Miscellaneous Fees, and 7-75, Fee for Cross-Connection Inspection of the Roanoke County Code. Mr. Lubeck?
Thank you again, sir. Again, there have been no changes since the first reading of this matter. Just as a quick re-explanation, this matter involves the changing of fees that were codified in the Roanoke County Code, Chapter 7. Specifically, it addresses fees for the inspection of certain amusement rides as well as cross-connections. Cross-connections are defined in the code as any physical connection of an arrangement between two otherwise separate piping systems. And, of course, the proposed ordinance does set forth each of the changes. These are all slight increases to these fees. But again, no changes since the last reading. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, Mr. Lubeck? If not, I would request a motion to approve ordinance listed under item G2.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve item G2.
And, sir, I do apologize, but this does require
Oh,
a
I'm
public
sorry.
hearing as well.
I have to open the public hearing.
Yes, sir.
I have no, thank you, Mr. Lubeck. Have no individuals signed up to speak to this matter?
No,
Any
sir.
citizen in the audience would like to speak to this? If not, I will close the public hearing. Then we have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk?
Mr.
Could
Chairman.
we hear the motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve item G2.
Thank you.
Second?
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Hooker?
Yes.
Mr. North?
Yes.
Mr. Radford?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes. Item G3 is a petition of Ronald Moran and Michael Boynton to rezone approximately 3.145 acres from R1 Low Density Residential District to I1 Low Intensity Industrial District, located at 4038, 4056, and 4066 Cross Mill Lane, Catawba Magisterial District. Mr. Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. As you mentioned, Mr. Moran and Mr. Boynton are looking to rezone property from residential to industrial. So the site located a little off of West Main Street, off Cross Mill Lane, kind of, if you remember the Salem Water Treatment Plant, kind of close proximity to that. So this kind of gives you an idea of where the property is located. 4 properties, 2 full parcels, 2 portions of 2 other parcels, which are shown here in the aerial photograph. A little over 3 acres. There are 2 residential homes on the lots that have the partial. They will remain. There is 1 vacant lot as well. So the intent is to construct 2 buildings for industrial uses. So this is kind of looking at Cross Mill Lane. You kind of see the arrow where it's pointing, give you kind of proximity, kind of along the first parcel along Cross Mill Lane. It's kind of looking back toward the existing industrial area that sits behind it. You see some parking areas also already on the 1 lot that's being proposed. Just kind of looking across the backside of all those properties, you can see it's fairly flat, which is rare for us to have industrial land that's flat or proposed industrial land. Again, it's kind of looking across it. You can see the 2 homes in the upper, they will remain, and they'll be subdivided off as a future action. And it's kind of looking back from the other places. You can see the industrial uses behind it, you see the mountains in the background as well. But fairly level land, and this is right up against the property line with a vegetated buffer that was there along the adjacent property that's residential as well. So the concept plan, you'll see they're proposing 2 different lots. So take the 4 lots, and eventually it'll be 2. One will be 1.7 acres, 1.77, and then 1.375. 2 different buildings. So Building A would be on Lot A, is a little over 13,000 square feet. Building B is 6,000 square feet. They would have 2 access points off of Cross Mill Lane. They do have, when you have a industrial zoning, I-1 adjacent to R1, there is a type B buffer requirement. They're choosing the 35 feet option with small evergreen trees, large deciduous trees, and 6-foot tall screening. You kind of see where the landscaping would be adjacent to the R1 properties. Obviously, they will have parking and stormwater management as part of their site development plan. Existing zoning, if you look all around it, while there is R1, obviously, that it's zoned now, and then a few homes on Cross Mill, but all around it, it is zoned I1. So to the north, it's R1, I1, and then east, west, and south is all industrial. Future land use, Glenver Village. Not one that we come across too often, but when we did the Glenver Community Plan back in 2012, this was we came up with this land use category. It was supposed to be a future land use area to serve as a focal point. They do have a variety of different uses that are appropriate, including limited industrial uses, but also has commercial, mixed-use office, institutional, parks and rec facilities, residential. So a mixture of uses to try to be more of a community and allow a lot more uses. So it is consistent. Planning Commission held a public hearing back on April 5th. We did have one citizen speak during the public hearing. It was the adjacent neighbor to Mr. Boynton. She's just curious about the different types of uses proposed, a little concerned about noise, hours of operation, what type of buffers there would be, lighting, and talk about, would there be any impact to property values as well. Planning Commission discussed the proposed uses on the property, the access to the site, the noise, the phasing of the construction, the buffers, the hours of operation, the lighting, surrounding uses, and the future land use designation. The Planning Commission did recommend approval to rezone the 3.145 acres from R1, low-density residential, to I1, and staff recommends approval as well. With that, take any questions you have.
Any questions, Mr. Thompson?
No questions.
I believe
the applicant's here.
He is here. If you have any questions for him, or if
Would you like to make any comments, sir? I would now open the public hearing. Again, I want to remind everyone that please state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes to speak. I have no request forms. Does the clerk?
No, sir.
Any citizen like to speak to this matter? If not, I will close the public hearing. Any comments or discussion by board members?
Mr. Chairman, I have just a quick comment, and then I'll make a motion, if that's acceptable. I have driven the property. I've examined it on several occasions. It is very industrial in that area. It is in between 11460 and I-81. It has many industrial uses around it, and with that being said, I find that the proposed rezoning request is consistent with the purpose and intent of the county's adopted comprehensive plan and good zoning practice, and will not result in substantial detriment to the community. I therefore move that we approve the rezoning request as it has been requested.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second. Sorry.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Hooker?
Yes.
Mr. Norworth?
Yes.
Mr. Bradford?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes. Good luck, sir. Item G4, this is a petition of WECO LLC to obtain a special use permit to operate a short-term rental on approximately 2.28 acres of property zoned R1, low-density residential, located at 910 Paint Bank Road. Mr. Thompson.
So this is our first foray into, we amended the ordinance to allow short-term rentals. And so this is our first special use permit for this. Site is located again off of Paint Bank Road, which is off Texas Hollow Road. You kind of see, kind of in near Salem, kind of give you the general location of where the property is located. It's 910 Paint Bank Road. It's 2.28 acres. There's existing single-family home. They are proposing short-term rental on the property. A couple of photographs real quick. Here's the existing house and the circular driveway. It's kind of looking from the side. See, pretty open, flat property. A couple of photos of the inside provided by the applicant, what they would be renting. So, we define it as the provision of a room or space that is suitable or intended for occupancy for dwelling, sleeping, and lodging purposes for a period of fewer than 30 consecutive days in exchange for a charge for the occupancy. We then go through and says, it doesn't include the existing short-term rental uses that we already have defined in our ordinance. And we have a variety of different standards that we developed. And again, one of the issues when we're going through the process was trying to keep this simple, but also, having information available if we hear about complaints and be able to deal with who's going to be in charge. So they had to get a zoning permit and provide some information. If there's any change to that, they, in that ownership or who the responsible party is, they have to give us that information. When the change in ownership, their zoning permit expires, so the new owner would have to get a new zoning permit and give us that information as well. And if there are any violations of the zoning ordinance or county code, there is the ability to revoke the permit if needed be by the zoning administrator. And then in the R1 and R2, which we have for a lot of other uses, we have that 5-acre threshold, right? So if it's less than 5 acres, they have to get a special use permit. If it's more than 5 acres, they do not. Since this is 2.28 acres, they need to get a special use permit. Surrounded by R1 all around it, so it's a residential area. That's neighborhood conservation, which wants you to keep the existing development pattern. Again, public hearing by the Planning Commission on April 5th. There were no citizens to speak during the public hearing. The staff and applicant provided additional information. There haven't been any complaints from neighboring property owners. It is consistent with the neighborhood conservation and future land use destination. There are no changes proposed to the house or property. The property has been rented as long-term rental property. In the past, the applicant operates other short-term rentals, and they were aware of the new zoning permit requirements as well, and the use and design standards. So, the Planning Commission recommends approval of the special use permit for short-term rental, and staff recommends as well. So, any questions? I'll be happy to answer them.
Is the representative of the applicant here? Would like to say anything? With that, I will open the public hearing. I have no request to speak. Any citizen present would like to speak? If not, I will close the public hearing. Any further discussion or questions from board members?
I don't have any discussion. I'll make a comment and make a motion. Mr. Chairman, I have also driven by this property. I know several of the people that live in that area, and it seems to be fairly benign, and it's a lovely area back there. So with that being said, I find that the proposed special use permit meets the requirements of Section 30-19-1 of the Roanoke County Code, and that the proposed special use conforms with the standards set forth in Article 4, Use and Design Standards of the Roanoke County Zoning Ordinance, is in conformance with the Roanoke County Comprehensive Plan, and will have a minimum adverse impact on the surrounding neighborhood and community. I therefore move that we approve the petition to obtain a special use permit.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Hooker?
Yes.
Mr. Norworth?
Yes.
Mr. Radford?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes. Item G5 is a petition of Wild Partners to obtain a special use permit to operate a car wash on 1.03 acres of property zone C2C, High Intensity Commercial District with conditions, located at 3250 Electric Road, Cave Spring Magisterial District. Mr. Thompson.
So they are, Wild Partners is looking, as you mentioned, to build a car wash. They are looking at the existing property that has the former Ruby Tuesday building, a restaurant. They're at Electric and Bramilton, or near Electric and Bramilton. Property is a little over an acre. Again, it used to be, it's a vacant restaurant, the former Ruby Tuesdays. They are proposing a car wash. A couple of photos of the property. Again, it's the Ruby Tuesday restaurant, or former, again, the one access you see in the foreground here will go away if they get approved and build it. This is from the access road off of Electric Road. Again, just going around the building and seeing all the development that's there right now in the parking area. So, back in, just a little background, in 1999, the board approved a rezoning of this property. It was a portion of a larger rezoning to C2C, High Intensity Commercial District with conditions. And they also granted a special use permit to operate fast food restaurants and drive-through on this property with 12 proper conditions. So it was the bigger development of Ruby Tuesdays, the Mexican restaurant, I think the fitness building as well. And so there, out of those 12, there's really only a few that really apply, and some really, why they apply, aren't going to come into play and aren't going to impact this. So lighting, so light pole height can't exceed 22 feet above grade. No off-premise advertising signs. All retaining walls be constructed on the property shall be constructed as split-faced architectural block. When you see the reference to the 5.26 acres, that's the bigger parcel behind it, so it's not really relevant to this. None of these are all dealing with the 5.26 acre parcel. So exterior of all buildings will be constructed of brick, drivet, and masonry on all sides of the building, which they are planning to do. All buildings will be finished to grade with said materials. The property may be developed in substantial conformity. It wasn't, so it doesn't need to matter. And then the three parcels shown as site A, B, and C could have multiple fast food restaurants. And obviously, they're not proposing a fast food restaurant, but that was the property that it could happen. So it does apply to the property. So their concept plan, they are showing a car wash building, a little less than 4,000 square feet, 110 feet long, about 28 feet in height. They'll have, typical what you see today for the modern car wash, 3 pay stations, 3 lanes wide, and hold up to 19 spaces for queuing. There would be 18 parking spaces with vacuum stations once you got through the car wash, and they'd have a screened dumpster location on site as well. Their landscaping plan, which they show here, shows additional landscaping. They're retaining as much of the on-site as possible and then adding to that. Again, these are renderings of the building, but the previous application that they had before you not that long ago, they had these renderings as well, and this is what it kind of looks like from an architectural standpoint. Existing zoning is C2C, high-intensity commercial with profit conditions. Again, around to the north, it's C2C and R2. To the east, it's C2C and R2. Again, commercial to the west, and then across 419 to the south is R1. It is core, which is a feature land use where we have our highest intensity urban uses. So it is consistent with that designation. Again, had a public hearing, the Planning Commission did on April 5th. No citizens spoke during the public hearing. Planning Commission discussed the profit conditions, the traffic flow on site, the traffic counts on Route 419, their construction timeline, the water filtration system that they would use for the car wash, the hours of operation, some of the surrounding commercial uses, and the consistency with the county's core future land use designation. So the Planning Commission did recommend approval with 4 conditions. Those conditions deal with conformance with the concept plan that was shown and is in your packet, conformance with the landscaping plan that is also in your packet and also in the presentation, that the building shall be developed in substantial conformance to the architectural renderings that were provided, and then the dumpster enclosure shall be constructed with the masonry materials and colors that match those used on the building facade. So those are the 4 conditions that the Plan Commission recommended as part of the approval. Staff also recommends approval with those conditions. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of Mr. Thompson?
And the applicant is here as well.
Representative of the applicant, would you like to come up and say anything?
Oh, sure.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, thank you for having me again. My name is Jonathan Yates. I live at 173 Buckingham Court. It's in Botetourt County, but it's officially labeled as Roanoke, so I feel like I'm at home. I brought the same PowerPoint presentation I had last time, and hopefully I can get it to pull up. But in the interest of being mindful of your time, I'm not going to walk through that step by step. So, like I had previous go-around, this is a little bit about who we are. The big difference here, when I was in front of you roughly a year ago, we had 11 locations. We now have 17 locations. Of those 17 locations, we've opened an additional 2 in the Roanoke general vicinity and another one in Christiansburg, as well as 2 that just opened in West Virginia. Last go-round, we had a property that was in the 419 overlay. And since that meeting, I've worked long and hard to find a suitable alternative that was outside of the 419 corridor. So just, again, to shorten this up from last time, we do recapture a percentage of our water that far out exceeds the Roanoke County requirements of 85%. As you can tell from our growth, the trend of car washing has gone from washing in the driveway to washing through professional establishments such as our own. I'm going to skip over discussing the advantages of express washing versus full-serve washing unless there's any questions there. But I did want to touch on some comments about highest and best use and some objections that we had heard in the past. And just to say, this restaurant was openly marketed for a long period of time, professionally by Colliers. It obviously has a schedule of finishes that's very specific to Ruby Tuesdays. They tried to get some other restaurant users in there. There was no takers. We didn't do anything special to acquire this property from the REIT that holds it. All we did was take their asking lease rate, we capped it at a market rate, and we made them an offer. So, happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions, Mr. Yates?
I would just say it's a much better fit than what you proposed last time. I mean, I would support.
Comment. Yeah, it looks like it's a great facility. There's some in the area that once they open, and by no means am I saying yours is going to be this way, they don't maintain the equipment outside of the car wash, the vacuums, whatever. There's no suction. It's very frustrating. And then they can charge the market rate of $10 when someone down the street charges the same price and does a better job. Location, location, location is what it's all about. So, another question, what are you going to charge for a basic wash? And what do you get with that basic wash?
Our basic wash is $8. I would briefly like to touch on kind of the concerns you just mentioned. Wild Partners is a family company. In fact, one of the owners is behind me, Lance Wild. We don't run the way some of these national players that have come in and bought mom and pop facilities without calling out anybody by name. I was involved in one of those previously, but being a family business, we've got local oversight. We've got a great local management team. We're very proud of our washes that are in the Roanoke Valley. I'm not on the operations side, so I'm not the right one to speak to exactly what you get per each wash package, but all of our customers, regardless of what package they choose, get to wash their vehicle through the tunnel equipment and then use free vacuums, glass cleaner, towels, that type of thing for as long as they please.
Good, thank you.
Mr. Yates, or maybe Mr. Thompson, could you pull up on the screen the visual of the concept plan? I had a question with respect to the movement of traffic. Yes, so I bring my car in, I have 3 different pay points. I swing around, I go through. When I come out, I guess I would make a left to go to the vacuum or make a right to get back out on the road. Is that?
Correct.
Okay. I was just wondering, at that point, would you see some potential traffic conflicts there or not?
This layout is very common for express car washing, and it's almost a carbon copy of the express wash that was built on Dale Avenue in Roanoke City. That decision point's got pretty open sight lines, and it's generally not a point of conflict. On your very busiest days where you may have conflict like that, generally it's after a big salt or snow event, and people don't want to stand outside and vacuum.
My only comment is that I will support the application, but I tend to attempt to go to Crunch Gym, which is up the hill from this. And sometimes when you come out, the way the existing Ruby Tuesday structure, as you come around that corner, you'll get, your vision will be blocked sometimes. So if you have cars or a truck coming in and you're trying to come out, and I was just kind of concerned because I could see where you would have people who would go through the wash part and they'd be coming out, and you have other people who are doing the vacuuming and they're coming out, and you've got other folks coming in, and that distance around the curve is not that great. I guess what I'm thinking, though, is the way the building is structured and how it is further, I guess, closer to 419, you don't quite have that same visibility issue that you have with the Ruby Tuesday building. So that should work better. Any other questions of the applicant? I would like to open the public hearing and see if there are any citizens who would like to speak to this item. I have no request to speak. Any citizen? Yes, ma'am, please come up. Give me your name and address, and you got 3 minutes.
Be nice to me.
We're nice.
Always.
No rush. Take your time.
My name is Joanna Phelps. I live at 4022 Hidden Lane. And I agree with you with the coming around that corner. Some people come around there and don't even look what they're doing. Then when they get out on 419, they're doing like this. And it's real comical. If they take them trees down, they planted there around that, in the back, they could see better. They need to prune the trees.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizens? Not? I will close the public hearing. Any questions or any comments from board members? If not, I'd like to make a comment. I've had several conversations with counsel for the applicant. I've indicated to counsel that I would have liked a different commercial development here, something that might generate more tax revenue and have greater employment in the county. But at the same time, I think it's not ours to choose the winners and the losers in the free market capitalistic game. There's an awful lot of car washes on the stretch of 419, and I wish you luck. There's going to be a lot of competition. That'd be very challenging. But with that, I would make a motion that to approve the application. I believe that with respect to the special use permit, it meets the requirements of 3019-1 of the Roanoke County Code. Proposed special use conforms to the standards set forth in Article 4, Use and Design Standards for the Roanoke County Ordinance. That it is in conformance with the comprehensive plan. This is a core designation. And that it will have minimum adverse impact on surrounding neighborhood and community. I move that we approve the petition to obtain a special use permit with the 4 conditions that Mr. Thompson summarized. I'll go through them again. Property shall be developed in substantial conformance with the proposed car wash conceptual site plan prepared by Site Incorporated Civil Engineers and Surveyors dated February 11th, 2022, subject to any changes required during the site plan review process. Number 2, that landscaping on the property will be in substantial conformance with the proposed car wash conceptual landscape plan prepared by Site Incorporated Civil Engineers and Surveyors dated February 11th, 2022, subject to any changes required during the site plan review process. Number 3, the building shall be developed in substantial conformance with the architectural renderings submitted with the application dated May 8, 2020. And finally, number 4, the dumpster enclosure shall be constructed with masonry materials and colors that match those used on the building facade. That is my motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Madam Clerk?
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Hooker?
Yes.
Mr. Norworth?
Yes.
Mr. Radford?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes. Good to see you again, Compton.
Mr. Chairman, Board.
Thank you.
Item H, appointments. Does any board member have an appointment that has not been given to the clerk? If not, we will go to item I, which is our consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered by the board to be routine, will be enacted by one resolution in the form of forms listed below. And if the board wants to discuss any item, that item can be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. I do want to remind the board that we did move the young man, Mr. Dragovich.
Yeah.
We were going to give him a resolution. He was the young man who was the wrestler. So we added that to our consent.
Yes.
Number 5.
Yes. I would move the approval of the consent agenda. Do we have a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Hooker?
Yes.
Mr. Norworth?
Yes.
Mr. Bradford?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes. Item J, citizen comments and communications. I have none. Does any citizen wish to speak? If not, item K, reports. I would ask for a motion to receive and file all the following reports.
Motion.
Second.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Hooker?
Yes.
Mr. Norworth?
Yes.
Mr. Radford?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes. Item L, reports and inquiries of board members. First one up is Mr. Radford.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple of real quick items. I just want to extend thanks to our staff for holding the retreat we recently had last weekend at Explorer Park. I thought it was a worthwhile investment of time and for us to have a good discussion. Saturday got a little long, but we got through it. And I agree with Mr. Chair, I might have gained a little more weight than I needed to, but anyway, I think it was a great meeting. Look forward to the work that will continue with Mr. Kaywood and the staff. Also want to let the board know that I continue to get words of gratitude from citizens about us holding the line on personal property tax. And it's not just coming to me, it's coming to all 5 of us. So that continues to be a blessing from our community. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Peters?
Well, I will reiterate what Mr. Radford said. We did have a great retreat. I think that I shared at the end of the retreat that it's good to know that we have 5 people that are really rowing in the same direction. And we have administration who's there to help lead us and make the changes necessary for Roanoke County. I too have heard a lot from the folks regarding the personal property taxes, as we've seen a couple of our neighbors who don't seem to be doing anything about it. Our citizens have been very, very thankful for that. And lastly, I didn't do it earlier, but I will do it now. The reason I did not support the capital budget, because as anyone who knows me knows that I'm a huge advocate for our RTC, or CRT, excuse me, no, CTE.
CTE.
See, we got too many things going on over the weekend. We were talking about CRT. Anyway, the CTE for our Burton Center is something that I've been dedicated to. I want to see happen. I want to see it for our workforce in Roanoke County. I want to see it for our students who are moving their way out of high school to have another option. We have seen over the last couple of years the need for more and more skilled labor, and you know, whether it's HVAC or car technicians or whatever the case may be. And I know that I was the one who brought up moving the capital budget to borrowing $17 million a year, but it was one of those cases after I did it, I realized now's probably not the right time. I want to make sure that we don't know how we're going to have to fund CTE yet. And until that is known, I was not comfortable borrowing more on our debt load. Because again, I think the CTE is something that the 5 of us have worked in concert with our school board. We now have 10 citizens who are sitting by our side, helping us through this process, and I want to make sure that we make this happen. So again, I'm not against anything in the capital budget. I want to make that perfectly clear. My concern is the debt side of it. I want to make sure that, you know, until we hammer out how exactly we're going to afford this, I prefer to keep it where it is. But that's it. Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Ms. Hooker?
I don't have much new to say. I also am appreciative of staff for the weekend retreat. It was excellent. It was very worthwhile our time. I also wanted to mention that it was good to have the recognitions we had tonight, and I thought it was a nice variety coming from Hidden Valley and from Cave Spring. It's always good.
Can I interrupt just 1 second?
They
It
were-
was nice to see someone other than Glenver up here. Okay, there, I'm good.
He said it. I was trying to be just very complimentary, and we have exceptional students in Roanoke County schools, and so I was appreciative of that. Thank you, Jason. Mr. Chairman, thank you.
That's it. I have 2 items. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. North.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I almost got you out. I apologize.
I was going to have to call you down on that, but that's fine, thank you. I just want y'all to know that it is good to have some other school districts in here. William Byrd's going to come one day, I'm sure, in the future, as they've been in the past, and so will Northside. So we do have a great school system and great athletics. Some good news. Our sources at the Department of Rail and Public Transportation in Richmond tell the Allegheny Regional Commission that when I inquired at our last Allegheny Regional Commission meeting, when's the second train going to start?
Soon.
I've heard June, but now they're telling us the middle of July. So it's coming. And right now, the first trip schedule will stay about the same. The second train will be a morning train coming southbound from Washington, D.C., arriving around 1:30ish, early afternoon, with a late afternoon departure going back to Washington, D.C., and onward in the northeast corridor towards New York and Boston. They're working on finalizing schedules, and so more to come on that in the future. Mr. Kaywood and Joe Loop and I attended a Virginia Research and Innovations Innovation for Better Health and Economic session at the Fralin Biomedical Research Institute. They talked about a lot of things, but I want to share a few facts for the folks at home that may not have read Mr. Yancey's Cardinal News. The money statistic in Roanoke has more research spending taking place here than all 15 of our sister peer cities, and those are like Charlottesville, Evansville, Indiana, Greensville, South Carolina, Knoxville, Tennessee, and Winston-Salem, to name a few. 3 years ago, President Agee said there were 23 clinical trials taking place in Roanoke. Now there are 130. That's quite an increase. Virginia Tech's overall National Institute of Health funding grew by 60%. The economic goal is to spin off a lot of the research into commercial application companies that might start here and grow. Here's the big picture. The Roanoke Valley is developing a cluster of life sciences businesses, one that is hoped to nurture and grow into something bigger. And Mr. Fralin, who spoke to the group, said that it's just not the size of the research institute, but the whole life sciences research ecosystem in Roanoke, something that didn't exist a dozen years ago. Both chambers of the General Assembly have included in the budget yet to be approved $15.7 million to build lab space in Roanoke. The city has also put $1.9 million towards the project. 98% of all lab space in the biotech corridor in neighboring Maryland is already taken. The Roanoke Valley and the New River Valley are now very intent on making sure companies come here. A few weeks ago, Virginia Western Community College announced it's establishing a biotechnology program. The reason I share these facts is I would like to see Roanoke County also be included in the lab growth, because we include much of our relationship with Carillion, but we have an opportunity here to get some of our vacant office space turned into labs. And so it's a driver that's coming in the future, and we should be proud that we are getting all the research projects that our peer cities aren't. So I hope that in the future, this will be some activity in Roanoke County. And I challenge staff to see what we can plant in terms of lab research space. One comment that Mr. Peters talked about, the CTE, I just want to, we've been doing some research. I shared this with Mr. Lubeck, who shared it with us. If the General Assembly ever passes a budget, and if they pass the Senate amendment, then our school system can apply for 50% of the interest on these projects, especially the CTE, and that will be a great revenue source, because we're looking for revenue sources, and that would be a big one, although it wouldn't be 100%. Of course, you have to apply and you have to be accepted, but thank you, Mr. Lubeck, for doing that research for us, and let's pray that that comes to fruition, because we got to have a revenue source. With money, we can do a lot of things. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Two items. We just learned today that Roanoke County is a recipient of 3 achievement awards from the National Association of Counties, which honor innovation and effective county government programs that strengthen services for its citizens. The awards are for, number 1, Capital Improvement Program web application, which provides citizens easy access to public data and increases governmental transparency. The second award is for county receiving recognition for its Rural Broadband Initiative application, which allows citizens to view information about availability of broadband projects in their neighborhoods, all of which happen to be in Catawba, but that's okay.
That's why the schools are doing so well. They have all broadband.
And the third one, county also received recognition for its Reimagine 419 plan, which leverages public-private partnerships to develop a town center in the heart of our commercial corridor. I think that's great news. I think that Mr. North wants to go out to Colorado and accept those awards in July. So well, we might have to check his Conflict of Interest Act application.
Mr. Chairman, I'm on the NACO's Transportation Steering Committee, so while I wouldn't want to travel out there for one event, 2 makes it a little bit more interesting to justify. And again, I'm the one exploring it. Who knows what the airlines are going to charge?
You never know. The second comment I want to make is, this is National Police Week. I'd like to recognize and thank the members of our police department for their dedication and their commitment to keeping our community safe. I'm looking at one of our officers back in the corner. Their service is invaluable to our citizens. There is a annual law enforcement memorial service that'll take place this Thursday, May 12th, at St. John's Lutheran Church on Brambleton Avenue at 4 o'clock. And we are privileged to have the Attorney General, Virginia's Attorney General, Jason Miyares, in attendance this year as a guest speaker. It's open to the public. I would encourage citizens to attend. This is an opportunity to remember those who have died in serving our communities. With that, we have a work session.
And Mr. Chairman, if I may, I do have an idea for the board's consideration. I believe our planning commissioners will be joining us at 5 p.m.
Okay.
Following the work session, we do have a brief closed session on the board's agenda. If the board believes that we have sufficient time, I think we do, we may want to
Do the
change
closed
it, reverse-
session
Yes,
and then
sir.
go to the work session?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Well, let me mention, the work session is a joint work session with the Planning Commission to discuss our Route 419 Town Center Design Guidelines. We'll be doing that upstairs on the third floor. We do have, as Mr. Lubeck indicated, we do have a closed meeting, and I would move to go into closed session pursuant to Code of Virginia, Section 2.23711A3 of the code, to discuss or consider the acquisition of real property where discussion in open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body. Specifically, board will consider acquisition of potential property in the city of Salem to be used for parking purposes. I make that motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Hooker?
Yes.
Mr. Norworth?
Yes.
Mr. Radford?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes. So now the board will recess to the third floor. We'll go into closed session. After the closed session, we'll do the work session with the planning.
And sir, Madam Clerk has advised me that there may be some setup going on in the third floor. It may be prudent to hold the closed session on the fourth floor in the board's room.
Or do you want to do it right here?
That would be fine.
You can do it right here?
That'd be good.
Yes, sir.